call to order the regular city council meeting for this Monday, June 15th. Let's start with the roll call, please.
Blessum.
Here.
Fuller. Here. Hayes.
Here.
Janser.
Here.
Olson. Here. Pittner.
Here.
Samuelson.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. Moving on to the mayor's report, I have a proclamation tonight, which I'm very happy to share. Whereas the Minot Public School District is a proud institution featuring outstanding education and extracurricular opportunities, and whereas the Minot High School boys golf team won the 2026 NDHA SAA State Championship for the first time in 23 years through determination, talent, discipline, and hard work. And whereas the Minot High School boys golf team overcame a 3-stroke deficit, finished tied for first place at the 2026 tournament, and secured the state title through a tie-breaking victory, showcasing the depth, determination, and teamwork of the entire squad. Now, therefore, I, Mark Janser, Mayor of Minot, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2026 as Minot High School Boys Golf Team Appreciation Day and encourage all Minot residents to celebrate the Magicians 2026 State Championship and recognize the team members, staff, coaches, and all for a season of excellence that highlights the successful academic and athletic programs of Minot Public Schools. Signed, Mark Janser, Mayor of Minot. So, and by the way, this whole team is coming back next year. Nobody's graduating. So I think repeat is in the works. So come on up, folks. Let's let me present this to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Okay, the rest of my report is basically a number of meetings that I participated in and various things. So we had a meeting with H.R. Green regarding the Minot Air Force Base Compatible Use Study, normal meetings with city staff, city manager, city attorney. I participated in an anti-human trafficking event, a breakfast and walk that took place here in Minot. Attended the Chamber EDC board, had a meeting with the CEO of the Levitt Foundation when she was here, spoke to an American government summer school class at Minot North, attended a land development ordinance meeting and a veterans appreciation as well as the military affairs MAC picnic in the park, and numerous other calls and emails and so forth. So are there any questions on the mayor's report? Seeing none, we'll move on. Section 4, city manager's report. City manager.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As a standard practice, my report is attached to the agenda. If there's any questions, I stand by.
Seeing no questions, I guess we'll move on. Thank you, City Manager. That brings us to Section 5, which is our consent items. I have been asked to pull 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, and 5.15. So, Council, are there any other items you would like pulled? Or is there anyone in the audience who sees one of these items in the consent list that you would like pulled for individual discussion? If there is, please make that known now so that we can pull it. Otherwise, likely the balance of these items will be passed on a single motion. So, seeing no one, Council, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval on the remaining items.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the remaining items. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
That brings us then to item 5.6, the Airport HVAC Mechanical System Preventive Maintenance Agreement. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Samuelson.
I would make a motion that we award the contract to Mowbray and Sons.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Samuelson.
thank you. So in looking through the paperwork and stuff on this, this was brought to us in March, and there was I guess some differences in the bidding process where one company was able to bid for a 3-year contract and one only bid 1 year. I'm a little perplexed on how this one is done, because we have one contractor that is gonna do preventive maintenance for twice a year, and the other one is going to do it 4 times a year. And I believe that preventive maintenance is important, and I think we've talked about that many times. So I'm not sure, I guess if, in my opinion, if you look at it, although the dollar amount, H.A. Thompson and Sons is less expensive, to me, Mowbray and Sons is less expensive, because you're getting twice the preventive maintenance from one contract to the other. And I just make a note that under recommended details, on what staff provided under paragraph C, it does say that, it says, staff review the service agreement contracts and details included in the quotes shown that although H.A. Thompson and Sons proposal was a lower amount annually, Mowbray and Sons had submitted a more comprehensive proposal providing quarterly preventive maintenance services for the terminal's building. And then it goes on to say that, you know, Mowbray's, they already have security clearance, they have their badges, they're familiar with the facility. I just think in the long run, to me, it's a better proposal. So that's why I made the motion.
Further discussion. Alderman Pittner.
Just maybe for the airport director, what have we been doing? Has it been quarterly, has it been annually, biannually as far as preventative maintenance? And I guess what is the recommendation for, I guess, airports? Is there a standard?
We typically have had Mowbray and Sons in the past, and they have provided it on a quarterly basis.
Any further questions for the airport director? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Blessam.
Thank you. So Tom, as Alderman Samuelson noted, I feel like we're having a little bit of trouble getting these over the finish line, and I don't know if it's the RFPs that aren't clear, or we're getting differences in the quotes, I guess is maybe the way that I'm thinking of it. So is there a way for us to tighten that up a little bit, or what do we need to do?
Mr. Mayor, Alderman Blessum, certainly we can take a look at that. For this particular issue, I think there's also a question that we, could maybe go back and look at ordinance and look at the standards that we hold ourselves to, where you got low bid, and then you have most responsible bid, and as Alderman Samuelson pointed out, I think the airport kind of felt themselves on that tug. We can get the job done at this low bid. Is that necessarily even what's been done in the past? As Airport Director Ekman just said, no, it's been 4. So maybe back, if I took a closer look at the RFP, we may not have given as clear direction as we could have. That's something for us to definitely look at. Do we want if we want quarterly preventive checks, maybe we could have mentioned that. But if Jennifer, if you have anything to add, please do.
Because of the cost, these were quotes. They weren't actual. It wasn't a bid out process, and the quotes came in. We gave them guidance as far as what we needed inspected. We allowed each of the vendors to provide us the frequency of those inspections, as long as the items listed out for inspections were inspected annually at the minimum.
Okay. Alderman Pittner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jennifer, as far as HVAC projects or costs or maintenance, like how often or how much money have we spent on these outside of preventative maintenance? What kind of costs are we looking at?
This one is in particular just for the terminal building. And on an annual basis for this year, we budgeted enough to cover either bid. As far as the other preventative maintenance, the actual maintenance costs, I'd have to look at our budget offhand. I can't remember, but we do have a separate line item from this one that is our HVAC system repairs and maintenance.
Alderman
line
Pittner.
item.
I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at as far as above and beyond these maintenance checks. Are these items nickel and diming to death? Are we having a lot of costs associated with above and beyond this preventative maintenance?
Well, there's part of the stuff like in their bids or I should say quotes that they gave us. They did not have to include things like replacing our filters because we do that internally. Our team does that once a year or a couple times a year. We replace all the filters in the terminal building and things like that. As far as actual maintenance, it really depends year to year. We've had years where it's been almost nothing, and then like this morning I was told we have a leak in our boiler system in the terminal building, so they had to call Mowbray in to come and take a look at it. There's a seal missing. He's going to order that part and have it placed hopefully by the end of the week.
Further questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by the council? Seeing none, let's vote on the motion.
The motion passed 6-1 with dissent from Alderman Pittner.
On to item 5.7. This is the recommendation for the recycling processor selection with Recycling Center of North Dakota. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Moved by Alderman Olson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Samuelson. Discussion. I believe Alderman Blessum pulled this one.
Thank you. Just wanted to talk about it a little bit, Jason, if you don't mind. So first thing, I just want to say, great job. These are the types of new thinking that we got to find, and that's a great starting point. There was a couple things that were of interest to me. even though the overall dollars, I think, looks good, I think we got to be very careful that it doesn't set us up for a worse situation down the road, because we're now buying a piece of equipment, we're buying a truck. We're also dedicating, it looks to me, at a bare minimum, just looking at, 60 miles an hour, 60 minutes per 60 miles, you're looking at about almost a quarter of a person to do just this job. And the memo says that's going to come from current staff, which I always get a little bit concerned about, because what are we going to stop doing to do that quarter of a person's worth of work? And that's today. So if it gets worse, if we, I assume it's going to be a little bit more than that. If the city grows, we got more recycling. So I guess, I get the numbers, I get the dollars, I get all of that. To me, there's two parts, and maybe I should be clear on that. I guess there's two parts to me on this equation. One is this the right provider? And that's what our memo is asking us to approve. And then I apologize, I'm sitting here doing it live, and I don't remember whether it actually includes approving the truck. So we're doing that whole package, is that correct?
Mayor Janser, Alderman Blessam. So the truck is something that we plan on looking at down the road.
Okay.
So tonight is the processor.
Okay, so if I can continue, Mr. Mayor, so
Go ahead.
tonight, the approval is the processor, and if we do not make a change with the truck, with staffing, with any of that, we would continue to do a contracted hauler that would take it to Jamestown. It's just a different job.
That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah,
Perfect.
we've reached out to the trucker because that contract is also running out at about the same time. So we can do an amendment. He'll reduce his cost because it's 700 miles closer than Shakopee. So we have that in place. We would continue to use him, and then look into this self-performing option and seeing if that's viable or not.
All right, so if I can continue, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
So thanks, Jason. Again, I think it's a great new opportunity, and I think that other question is a good one for us to explore and make the decision on whether the self-perform path is the right one, or if we should continue with a contracted hauler. So thank you.
Mayor Janser, Alderman Blessam. So I guess, as we've looked into that, and you mentioned the staffing, so we have shorter hours in the wintertime, so I wouldn't say we have extra employees, but we would have an employee that would have time to do the trucking. It's basically, it would be 2 loads every other week is how it works out with the recycling. Where we run into the crunch is during the summer when we run the longer landfill hours. So we would, during the summer hours, we would have to use some overtime to cover that cost. So we've kind of built that into our calculation. We feel we have a pretty good handle on the numbers, but like I said, we'll continue to dig into it and see if that makes sense.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none. Any further discussion by the council? Seeing none, let's cast our votes on this item.
Motion passed unanimously.
Moving on to item 5.8. This is a agreement for use of an indoor range and by the PD. What are your wishes? Council, is there a motion?
Move approval.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. I believe Alderman Fuller pulled this motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to pull this. I guess they're looking to use the indoor range. At the beginning of the year, I had set up an opportunity for Minot PD to use the old Spartan indoor range free of charge, and there was a motor issue, so we had to cancel it. But I'm just going to put this out there again. If Minot PD wishes to use the Spartan range at any point in the future, as long as I own the building, they are more than welcome to do so free of charge. I believe it is quite a higher training facility because they can write their programs directly right into the range. It's obviously very safe, and they would have access to it at any point that they want. So I just wanted to put that out there for them.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote on the motion to approve.
The motion passed unanimously.
All right, and so that takes us to item 5.15. And this is a connection fee for 8201 Highway 2 East. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Samuelson, second by Alderman Fuller. Discussion. Alderman Mike.
Lance, if you wouldn't mind coming up, thank you. So just a couple of questions on this one, Lance, because it struck me as we go through each of these and something new comes up. So this was, we're doing sewer based on acreage of the lot, which you got to have some basis. So I get that. One of the big things for me is whether we're looking at land development ordinances, fee schedules, all those types of things, is that we do everything we can to be predictable. Right, so that people in the community can understand what they're going to get as they come forward. Can you talk about this one a little bit, because it looks a bit like sort of a negotiated setup, and then I got a second part of it, which is about when we go to do that, does it make more sense to formalize that into an actual plat, into different lots? Because that would do that same thing, I guess, in my mind. So can you just talk about the process a little bit?
Yeah, certainly, Mr. Mayor and Alderman Blessum. So as the memo had stated, when these fees were established, we did it by acre. Some fees will do it by unit, so they might charge so much a single family and so many units per multifamily, et cetera. So at the time, that's how we set up these fees. Whenever you set up the fees, there's always kind of in that calculation, number of acres that you're not going to be able to service because of topography or sloughs or what have you. So in this case, we actually did not anticipate serving this area. So basically, the city's service line is right on the west edge of this property. And so when they had requested city services, we said, well, for your water, you're in North Prairie Rural Water's territory, so you'll have to work with them to get water service. We do have a main nearby. If you wanted to tap it for fire, you could do that. You'd have to annex into the city, of course, and they did. And as for sanitary sewer, we told them, here's your estimated connection fee based on the acreage that you have. We'd usually do that at DRT meetings. We have a checkbox on there that says what the fee is per acre, because we actually have two different sewer sheds in Minot. One's for Puppy Dog, we call it, and the other one's North Minot. So now I think when it came time to get permits and things like that, and they ran the math, we're like, wow, this is really expensive. What can we do? We said, well, we can work with your engineer to determine which areas can and cannot be serviced by sanitary sewer, and we can propose that to city council to see if they want to reduce your fee. As it sits right now, it's a fee resolution, but staff doesn't have the ability to administratively do that. So anytime there's a reduction that's requested, we have to bring this before you to make that reduction. So after we work with them on what can and cannot be serviced based on sewer grades, topography, and things like this, this is the acreage that we came up with.
So if I can continue.
Go ahead.
So
Alderman Blessing.
Lance, in your mind then, that process you just described, which is work with the city, work with your engineer, that's where the consistency and the predictability comes from, right? Because that process is going to be the same. It's not an easy answer. It's not just look up the lot and see what the acreage is. That's your starting point. But if you do want to get some special adjustment, it's that process.
That's correct.
Okay. If I could continue, Mr. Mayor.
ahead.
So then just one last thing with it then, there's, and this, I again know the area out there and know some of the people involved. You talked about the right now water, sewer, everything right up to the west edge. There's still one more lot that would be City of Minot, we believe, right to the east. So how does that service have to get set up all the way across that lot up front, across this one, so that the next one is available on the west edge again? Or how will that work?
Sure. See, Jen, if you could pull up, there's an attachment to this memo that There on the very last page, there's a colorful map, and I think that explains this pretty well. And on the third page of that attachment. Item 515. Yep, scroll down one more. There we go. Okay, so the area in green on this exhibit is the area that can be serviced by sanitary sewer. So it's typically what happens is if a property develops, we tell them you have to extend utilities across your frontage. However, what happens sometimes is the utilities physically cannot be extended. So in this case here, if you look at the different colors, the green is the area that could be serviced by sanitary sewer via gravity. But once you get to about the east the east edge of this green box, the sewer is only about 3 feet in the ground. So it's going to freeze, basically. And so then the area in the red box, which would be the remainder of their property, it actually start coming out of the ground. So the property that's east of this still would not be able to be serviced by city sanitary sewer unless they would pump it over to us, which they could do. But depending on their use, they may not have to have an expensive lift station and force main. It's a very large parcel, and if they have water demands that are such that you don't need a sanitary sewer system, they could use septic. Sanitary sewer, public sewer is only required if you're within 200 feet of a sewer main. So in this case, the property to the east would not be. They'd be allowed to use a septic if they wish.
Go ahead.
Yep. So Lance, in the green, then what are they being asked to do in terms of the sanitary sewer? Then does it just end wherever their use is because there's nothing east of there, or does it have to go across the green?
It doesn't have to go across the property. It basically stops in the corner where they can connect onto it and then bring it into their site.
Okay. So
And,
is,
sorry,
go ahead. Yep, go
Alderman
ahead.
Blessum. So the way that they're doing this is it's actually the city sanitary sewer is leaving what will be a dedicated frontage road where we're actually working with the landowner to the west of here, but then that frontage road dead ends, and then so the sewer, if it was extended, would be on private property. So essentially what it is, it's a glorified service. If you think of it like that, it doesn't serve any other public.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Turner, just one last thing then. So my question then about actually redividing this and having them, that's another answer, right? Is to say, look, you need to divide it up. You need to do separate plats for these because that fits the normal calculation, right? Is there a reason we wouldn't go that direction, just to keep it as clean and clear as we can?
Mr. Mayor and Alderman Blessum, they could do that. Personally, as the city engineer, I get a little worried about that because now we could start getting into some funky looking plats, and essentially you're trying to carve out the developable area of a parcel, and then what's remaining is maybe not so desirable, and there's a higher probability that land could go back on taxes, or it could fall to somebody else that didn't know what all these restrictions are, and now they're holding a piece of ground that isn't worth very much. So I would rather handle them like this on a case-by-case basis, and we can use good engineering judgment to pick out what is actually sewerable.
Okay. Any further questions for the city engineer? Seeing none, thank you, Lance.
You're welcome.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion by the council? Seeing none, let's vote on the motion.
The motion passed unanimously.
All right, that finishes up our section 5. We're moving on to action items in section 6. And item 6.1 is some ordinances on second reading. Alderman Hayes.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the council's permission to abstain. I'm a owner of the property.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to allow Alderman Hayes to abstain from this since he is the owner of the property. Any discussion? If not, let's vote on the motion.
The motion passed 6-0 with Alderman Hayes abstaining.
Okay, and with that, is there a motion on the item?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Fuller, seconded by Alderman Pittner to approve the item. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Please cast your votes.
The motion passed 6-0 with Alderman Hayes abstaining.
That takes us to item 6.2. This is a budget amendment for asset management, permitting, and licensing GIS software update. What are your wishes?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve as recommended. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
City engineer.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I wanted to give a brief overview of this software project. It's pretty complex, and there's some nuance to it that I wanted to make sure that that everyone has the information here. So basically, we're looking at three different systems that we're trying to update. The first is our Esri GIS system. We're several versions behind right now. This is about as critical of an asset for us as it gets. It houses all of our city data regarding all of our infrastructure, all of our permits, all of our parcel information. Without this information, we are set back severely when it comes to identifying what assets need to be replaced, showing that data to the public, and other things. So from our GIS standpoint, we got to get this system upgraded. We've been pretty fortunate with our system. In the last 5 years, we've had over 500,000 site visits to our GIS. So it's a pretty used site here, not only for the city staff, but for the public as well. The next system is our asset management system, which is CityWorks. CityWorks also does all of our permits and licensing. So all of our routine inspections for all of our pumps and hydrants and everything goes into CityWorks. Service requests internally and from the public. We've had over 1,000 service requests through the My Minot app in the last year. So those all go into CityWorks and then get routed to staff for service. All of our work orders for all the utilities, streets, and traffic. Last year alone, we had over 5,000 work orders that our city staff has been processing and working on. And all that information is tracked within our asset management software. It handles all of our permitting, so all the building, mechanical, and plumbing permits, signs right away, all of our licensing for our contractors. We had over 2,200 permits that were pulled within our licensing software. And that list will continue to grow as we have now most of our city-issued permits online. Kind of how we got here, we had planned on upgrading to CityWorks version 23 this year. However, what ended up happening was CityWorks was acquired by Trimble, who also supplies all kinds of services to us. They're also the makers of our GPS equipment. So they do a lot of things. But one of the issues that came about is we thought we'd be on CityWorks 23 for several years. They moved up the sunsetting date on us to, I won't tell you the exact date next year for security reasons, but that moved the ball on us. And so what ends up happening now is we have to do more upgrades faster than what we had anticipated, hence why we're here tonight for the budget amendment. It takes about a year to get this all implemented and updated, and if we'd wait in the normal budgeting cycle, we wouldn't have enough time to implement this software before some of those security problems come, and then we're vulnerable through the internet. When they sunset the software, like I had mentioned, there's no security updates. The bug fixes stop. So the faster that we can get on this newest version of CityWorks, now called Unity, the better. In order for us to do that, we need to upgrade our GIS system. So we're on an older version today. It doesn't interact with the newest version of Unity. So there's a step process that we have to do to get onto that. Unity is also only offered as a software as a service, or SaaS they call it. So that software package won't be housed on our city servers anymore. It'll go to like an Amazon web service, which does cost more when someone else is hosting your software, but it does free up a substantial amount of time for our IT department to be troubleshooting other things, so it's kind of a wash. In order to pull this off, it's a 5-step process. Each one of these steps has to be done in order so that we don't lose our existing GIS service to the public, or we lose our ability to do online permitting or asset management. So we start at step 1, we have to upgrade our GIS, and then we can bring our parcel fabric information over. We spent the last 3 years updating every single parcel in Minot. We've taken the parcels from what they call perfect squares and now redrawn them so that spatially they're pretty close to where they're supposed to be in the world. Not survey accuracy, but probably within a few feet, or in the very old areas and within the new areas, they should be just about right on. After that work is done, then we will build our future state GIS, so that will port everything, all of our data, over to the new ArcGIS servers, and then we can begin implementing Unity. Part of the implementation cost is why it's increased, is there's a lot of training with this version. The interface is different from what our operators are using today, so we've dedicated additional training time to try to get them up to speed faster. And then once Trimble Unity is implemented, we'll cut over and turn off our legacy systems. So this is a snapshot of our funding. After we found out that we have to accelerate our schedule, we looked for some contracts that we had internally that were under budget, areas where we could shift things like GIS support and put it towards this project. And then we also looked at some of the integrations that we need to do with some of our other software systems like Tyler Munis. Right now, the largest one that we want to get integrated is into utility billing, so that if utility billing has work orders such as shut-offs or anything like that, that saves several steps for them to contact Public Works and then to schedule that work. We can now do it right through the software to into CityWorks, and it alerts the operators to go out and then perform that work. So that's one that's been requested for quite a while that we wanted to get inputted into the system. We're looking at shifting some of these costs over to where they probably should have been from the start. Typically, when we do like an engineering project like this, if the engineering department is taking on the project, the funds come through the engineering department budget. But in reality, what ends up happening is a lot of this stuff, especially on the asset management side, is actually dedicated towards the utilities. So a lot of those work orders came from water and sewer. So we talked with Jason about, hey, can we start allocating out some of these costs so that it lowers not only the implementation that would come from water and sewer reserves, but then also long-term in the budget, we want to take some of those costs and then shift them onto the utilities so they're paying their fair share. So that'll help lower the overall general fund cost of the software. So some of the benefits of why we're doing this, obviously the security issues are going to be priority number one. We had to update our GIS here at some point in the near future. It did come faster than what we had wanted. But I think overall, we're going to get a more stable GIS service. Right now, we've been having some issues with it. It'll turn off and on us, and we can't quite pinpoint the reason why. A lot of that might be because of the oldest version that we're on. I think it's the last one that they support. Now we're on version 11.5. Going to a SaaS model will free up some of the IT's resources so that they can help focus on other initiatives across the city. And then finally, Trimble Unity does offer quite a bit of improved function. The software version that we're on now is probably about 8 years old from when it was first rolled out. As you can imagine, over time, these software systems get more intelligent. They're starting to mix AI into these softwares now, which should help us when we as staff use it. And so that's what we're hoping for tonight is council help us out on that. We can get this software project going ahead of time instead of waiting until the budget year in 27. Be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for the city engineer? Alderman Hayes.
Lance, will the new Trimble, will that affect the current portal or the GIS format? Like as if you were changing to a different phone? Or is it all going to be real similar or stay the same?
Mr. Mayor and Alderman Hayes, it'll be very similar. The portal will have a little bit of a newer look to it. We have to go to a new version of the portal. And of course, the portal has to be ADA compliant. So things will look a little bit different, but the functionality will still be there. You'll still be able to submit your documents online, apply and pay for your permits. That functionality will not change.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the city engineer? Okay, I see none. Thank you, Lance. Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion by the council. All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and vote on this item.
The motion passed unanimously.
That takes us to item 6.3, and I guess before we go into a motion on this, I'm going to call up Chief Fry, who I think has a couple of slides he wanted to share with us as we get into this discussion.
Mayor, council, I just wanted to take a few moments before we started talking about the pound, but just give an overview of a general overview of our pound system, the temporary pound that we have now, and where we are since we started in March. So we've looked at calling our Minot Area Care and Control, the MAC. Jen, you can go ahead to the next screen. So as each of you can see, up to this point, we've taken in over 3 months, Animal Empowerment League, our temporary pound manager and whatnot. They've taken in 101 dogs in 3 months. Total costs, and I had them break it down, total costs for staffing has been the $39,000. The additional costs come down to microchipping and stuff like that. So, but I just wanted you guys to just get a brief overview of how much, how many animals are coming in through that pound already, and it increases, as you'll see, as we move through. Any questions on that slide? Okay. Jen, you can go to the next one. Thank you. So, as we look at Hairball Haven, our other partner involved in this, you can see that they've taken in 90 cats up to this point in total, and you can get a breakdown of what's been spent on staffing and their facility, because we're renting their facility as well right now, and what we're being charged per cat. The key in all of this is what we're looking at as far as the feral cat population and what's being taken care of. It's taking time, and we're going to progress through that. But you can start to get an idea of what the true costs are for each item. Does anyone have any questions on any of this so far? Go ahead, sir.
Just real quick, Chief. How much of that money that we're spending is being recouped when pet owners come back and get their pets? I mean, I realize some of it's feral and all that.
Coming to the next,
Okay,
coming
thank
to the following screens.
Okay.
Because Lord knows, I know that was coming. Where are we at? So what we're looking at now is what's going to happen after August 31st of this year, 9/1. We've just met with Trinity at their warehouse that each of you know about. So we're able to, and we had looked at several others, but this one has the proper ventilation and sewer systems and water and whatnot that's needed to operate a facility for dogs. So $3,400 a month, $41,800 for the year. But it's just not only the space that we need to operate, but it's also, like I said, the sewage, the ventilation, everything that, and the access for being able to pull into a garage and take the dogs out. Last thing we need is a dog that's captured to escape. Jen? Okay, so now we start to get into the numbers and you start to get an idea of what's taken place since March. Obviously in March it was a little bit slower. Our intake was 31 cats, 18 dogs. Return to owners. As you can start to see as you move over, that's what RTO is, return to owners. So we had 2 cats return, 8 during that time in March. April, significant increase. Once people started to understand that we actually are here and we have a pound available. And remember, we're also, because we're being good partners, we're also working with the county to make sure that they're, don't ask me the numbers for what came in from the county. Don't know. But as you can see, we're on trajectory here even in June to bring in high numbers. So next screen, here's the fees. The word fine shouldn't be in there, sorry. But these are the recovered fees in each month. As you can see, March, we were growing with it. April, May, so each month it's increasing and we're getting better and better at working through the process. It's taking time. This is a work in progress. And everyone's learning all of the intricacies that are coming with this. So, okay. And then finally, wanted to show you guys where we're headed with this program as well. So, part of our, the Minot Animal Care and Control, a subset of that is what we're working on as far as crisis pet boarding. As people start to, they have to go to the hospital, if there's a fire call, domestic violence. These are some of the things that local departments think about and have in place because people have to have somewhere to drop their animals. If there's a problem, if there's a fire, people will not leave an emergency if their animals are not taken care of. That is just a known fact. So as you start to go through, you start to see cross-agency, that's what that means. We'll work with all agencies, domestic violence centers, so on and so forth. And we've talked to all of these groups. Vet care, as needed. We are doing vaccines, spay and neuters. And the key for all this is trying to do the reunification. So you can see what the our Minot Animal Care and Control, the public safety piece of it, with the lost and found, animal welfare, so on and so forth. Again, this is a higher level view, just an overview of what we're doing in the first quarter of being open, but you can see where we're headed. The vision is to be able to take care of and have a system in place to where people actually can bring their animals safely. So I'll stand for any questions.
Alderman Pittner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess the only question I have is with the county, does the county contribute anything? Obviously, we have a building that we're renting from them at this point. Do they contribute anything? I mean, it kind of reminds me of the landfill, I guess, a little bit.
The county, as far as contributions?
Yep, for
That's
taking
their
in animals.
contribution, is the building. Right now, when we had nothing, they stepped up and helped us, and I promised them, tried not to overpromise, but that was part of our agreement, is to work together. I don't know how many animals are coming in from the county, couldn't tell you. But they do have a small budget if something were to come in that was, say, from a crime or animal cruelty. But that's also some of the processes that we're going to be looking at for different grants and stuff that deal with those things. So,
If I may
Alderman
continue.
Pittner, continue.
I guess just if talking about moving into the Trinity space, has there been talk of, is there been any discussions with a more solidified agreement with the county if we're going to continue to take animals in, or if we're going to go back to the way we were before and prior to this situation, to where they would have to find their own pound
you're
services?
talking about as far as the county's concerned, our agreement was August 31st. We have to be out because they need to start prepping to get their vehicles back inside, and we also need time to bring that back up to where it was before. The floors are already sealed. Our staff, Animal Empowerment League, has done a great job with keeping it clean, so it should not be that tough, but we have to be out of there. And so now we have to go to Plan B, which is Trinity was gracious enough to offer up their facility.
Alderman Hayes.
Chief, what do you anticipate the cost, or first off, what is the time frame on the Trinity? Is it available for long-term?
Yes.
And then what do you anticipate the cost is to put the proper floor in? I'm assuming it wouldn't have, and to get it up and ready.
Alderman Hayes, we actually their floor is it looks like it's sealed, and it has a long sewer drain. Typically, the only things that we really have to do, and we learned this from the county, is come in, make sure that the sewer drain that's there is pumped out so that there's the capacity for when we're flushing out. Put up security cameras inside because we need to be able to see what's taking place inside. And we have the equipment now. We've done it. And so now we know how to get it over to this location. They have a fence to where that's fenced off. And so we mapped out last week where even the outdoor kennel runs would have to go and secure them. So now that you've done it once, have a pretty good idea of how to move it forward.
Alderman Hayes, continue.
Is this just for dogs, or is it for both?
This is for dogs for now. We will be coming with, and we had a development review team that had met about looking at a long-term solution, but we haven't moved to that. Before we can get there, we have to have approval that we're going to have a pound. And then you start different processes and starting to figure out what it is that everyone wants to do. But can't put the dog outside the kennel first.
Thank you.
Further questions or discussion? Alderman Fuller.
I have discussion, but I don't know if Chief needs to stand here for it. So,
Well,
just three things that I kind of want to point out. So, if you look at the numbers that Chief just provided for us, it shows us that the current system is working. We have a feral animal problem in and around Minot. We all know that, right? But what gets lost a lot in the discussion, I think, is when the city moved away from the previous pound contract that we had, there have been very few complaints from the community as a whole right now about what's going on with our pound services. In fact, I haven't had any, and I used to get them constantly in the previous stuff. So I think the animal welfare community appears generally happy with the direction our program is going. The animals are being cared for, services are provided, and I think the people are pretty happy about it. Now, does that mean there's no room for improvement? Absolutely not. There's things we can probably do better, and we'll get there. Second, we talk about the cost, you know, and I understand that the cost is an issue, but we always talk about the flood control, and I think we got to look at it a little bit of the same way. They say, well, we got to spend whatever we got to spend on flood control so we don't have to pay for it if we don't have it. And I think the same thing has to be looked at here with animals as well. If we don't take care of the feral animal issue in and around Minot, our costs will be higher down the road than they're going to be while we're fixing this. Now, the thing we all got to remember is this is not a continuing or a permanent cost curve. We're going to hit a peak where we're getting rid of the animals, whether it be through spay and neutering, adoption, moving them out of the community, or some of them may have to be obviously euthanized. But if once we get to that peak and we start to come down, then our cost becomes less and less as this goes forward, right? I mean, what we're doing right now is going to save cost for the city of Minot in the future. And then one of the big things that we haven't really talked about, but I want to point out, is 2 months ago when I was working with Chief and I helped them create a business plan or a model basically to say how the city would run this, one of the things I put in there was a voluntary licensing agreement or framework for people in the city of Minot. Now, just using rough averages in the city of Minot, so we're 47,000 people, right? It means we're going to have about 12,000 dogs per the national average and about 10,000 cats per the national average. Volunteer licensing across the country, you get about a 35% participation rate. So if you look at it as spayed dog, $15 a year, intact dog, $40 a year, spayed cat, $15, intact cat, same, $40, and you put those averages in there, we're gonna make, on average, yearly, between $136,000 and $185,000 for this program. Now, again, that's if we only do a 35% participation rate. We can make it so we could get more in the long run if we want to make fines higher for people that aren't licensing their pets with us when they come to collect them. But again, we can pay for probably a third to half of these costs right now by doing a voluntary licensing program. And I believe if you ask Chief, he's all for this. And then as those costs and we fix the problem in the community continue to go down, we have a steady stream of revenue coming in for our pound services and everything related to the animals in this city. And as Chief said, you can expand it into chipping, into hotel stays, whatever we want to do. Obviously, we don't want to take away from local businesses, but we have an opportunity here to fix this problem and bring in some revenue at the same time. And so, I realize why people are afraid of the costs up front. In the long run, this is going to be cheaper for us as a community, and it'll generate another revenue stream that'll help actually pay for itself.
Alderman Pittner.
Mr. Mayor, for the sake of having discussion outside of a motion, I'll move to direct staff to rebid the pound services and include an option for emergency-only services, and also direct staff to bring numbers on bringing this and operating this in-house with city staff.
Second.
I may continue, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Alderman Pittner.
Yep. Again, my biggest thing when I look at this, in this process, I guess, on how this has gone, we declined this first agreement we had in place for pound services back, I think it was in January, because we had concerns over, I think, lacking financial documentation. Now looking back at the agreements that we have, Search Valley Animal Shelter seems to maybe have some of the most comprehensive financial documentation that we saw. We declined to approve the previous agreement over concerns of viability. I think it was stated something along the lines that, we've had other individuals or entities come in and do business with the city of Minot or have agreements in place, and they've left the city high and dry and they've just disappeared. Search Valley Animal Shelter, and again, I'm not advocating for any organization, but they seem to have some of the most viable numbers that we saw throughout this process. I guess I personally, That's why I want to rebid this again. And I get it. I won't be here to make the decision when this comes back. If this motion passes, but I just can't get on board approving an item that got here because we needed more information to feel comfortable. But now we're looking to approve the item with less information than we were provided before. Don't feel comfortable with approving this item when it was sold to us and not by staff, but this was going to save taxpayers. I don't know how a $300,000 budget increase for pound services is a cost savings. You know, it's a bold strategy, and I'm curious to see if it works out for us if we approve this. But and finally, I think it was Chief, you put in your memo, this is going to cost us 5 to 6 police officer positions as far as funding. You know, this is equivalent to that. And the first thing that popped in my mind when, we went through the previous budget discussion prior to this meeting, and it kind of seems like we're getting close to being fully staffed. We're reaching that goal, and it reminded me of when I got my butt chewed by the FOP when I was president of council, and I made a suggestion not to fund certain police positions. I think we were down about 20 at the time, and I think we were cutting 2 of them out. And the FOP came and chewed me a new one, saying, "You're defunding us. You're defunding us." Personally, right now, I want to. And what was stated at those meetings by myself, I remember Roscoe Striley says, you bring us the bodies, we'll approve the funds. I want to stand by, I guess, that commitment and say I'd rather see these dollars earmarked and go towards, the bodies. Yes, it's nice to have pound services in place, but like I say, $300,000 over what we were paying. I'm still trying to find the cost savings in that.
Further discussion. Alderman Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a couple of things. A couple of weeks ago, I had a birthday. I turned 59. And there's not been a day in those 59 years where I haven't been a dog owner. I love dogs. I take care of my dogs. I have a heart for animals. However, I have more of a heart and more of a concern for the people who live in our community. And just kind of going off of what Alderman Pittner has just mentioned, losing 5 to 6 positions at the police department in order to make this work financially makes no sense in my mind. Absolutely no sense. And the other thing is we're kind of comparing apples to oranges, but when we had our previous contract, we had 5 spots. A lot of times those 5 were filled, but we had 5 spots. Now we would be funding 12. And we might have 12 animals and we might not, but we're going to fund the property to host 12, even when it's beyond our responsibility, even when one of the organizations has taken over. They'll still be there. So we're paying that bill. And I mean, we've heard a lot about how people don't want to waste money and they want us to be smart in our decisions. And I just can't find a way to making this a smart decision.
Further discussion. Alderman Pittner.
Quick question for Chief, and I'll ask you as you're coming up. Chief, has there been any discussion, obviously, with the Trinity building? I think we toured that building previously as maybe of interest to the city owning that facility. Has there been discussion on what that would cost, what they would sell that building for, what that would look like for taxpayers?
Excuse me, Alderman Pittner. No, there's no, we've had discussion on what they think, but no one has really put pen to paper to see or have a real estate agent go out and give us that proper appraisal.
Okay.
Any other questions for the Alderman Fuller?
No, not for Chief, no.
Oh, okay.
Anything?
Further discussion. Alderman Blessing.
Thank you. Well, I guess one way to put it is I'm pleased that some of the members of the council are worried about the money suddenly. Because we haven't been worried about money for 25 years. So I'm glad about that. Here's what I would say. I think the pound situation that we had prior to our current one, and I think I put it this way before, it's like we had a car wash contract, but they were only washing the front fenders and the hood. The rest of the car wasn't getting washed. So it doesn't matter what we were paying for it. We weren't getting the job done. We're getting the job done now. And unfortunately, believe me, I care as much as anybody. I think everybody knows that. Unfortunately, it's costing us a whole bunch more money. And none of us is very pleased with that. So I'm concerned about this motion because I'm not sure that we're going to get a different result than the 2 RFPs we've just done on this exact same issue. Now, if Service Valley is going to choose to put in a proposal again on the third one, then I guess we've got something to talk about, but we don't know if they will because they didn't on the last one. What we know right now is that we've got 2 good providers that are willing and committed to the well-being of animals and therefore the well-being of the families of Minot and the people of Minot. Those 2 things are inextricably linked. And we need to support that as best we can. Now, the conversations that I've had with the chief, I think he understands fully that we have to work on the economics because it's not very good. I think we all recognize that. We understand it. We have to get things moving in the right direction. The thing that I will ask again, I'm going to vote no on re-putting it out, and I'm going to vote yes on moving forward with the contracts. But one of the things that I want to be clear about is that I will not support anything that creates a permanent growing resource within the city to handle this. So what that means to me, no long-term contract with the Trinity building. No building a building on the public works site. We need to work with our partners to get to a situation where they're handling that portion of it with us as contractors that we're paying a fair fee to. That also means limiting city staff. The proposals we've got right now include a manager and I believe one other tech that would be involved in running this. The long-term scenario should be no permanent footprint with the city, all contract-based. So those are the portions that I'll support and the direction that I would like to see us go. And my hope is that while we're looking at somewhere $450,000 to $500,000 a year right now, we can push that back down to where it ought to be, which is I think more in the range of half that in terms of the costs that we put out if we're doing things the right way. Now, I'm not saying that that's what the contracts will look like, but I'm saying the impact to the taxpayer. Because I don't think that there's many people in our city who wouldn't say it's important for us to take care of animals and have a way to take care of the issues that we've got. If we do this the right way, we will get on the other side of this mountain and head the right direction rather than continuing to be going uphill for the next 20 years.
Alderman Fuller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just 2 quick things. One, along Alderman Blessum's line, so 600 million extra in flood control costs, no questions. 200,000 to 300,000 extra to fix the animal issue in Minot, and this is the hill we're going to die on. I find the full outrage kind of laughable at this point. But we have a way to offset the costs. Like I said, implement the voluntary licensing program, and we can pay for 1/3 or more of this to fix this issue.
Further discussion. Alderman Samuelson.
Thank you. So I'm not going to support the motion to put it out there because I don't think it's going to fix this problem. I've told many people, and I'm an animal lover. I've had dogs when I was a kid. I've had them, I guess, most of my life. But I don't think it's anyone's responsibility in this community to take care of my pet. And I don't think you should have to pay for it. But I realize there are people that don't take care of their pets. And when I look online and I see the ones that might be up for adoption or something like that, and you look at them, you can't say no. So I guess what I'm saying is I agree we need to fix the problem, and I think this is a way we're on the way to do that for it to cost less. To go back to the way it has been is not doing anything. It's not doing anything for the population. And I agree with Alderman Fuller. I haven't got any complaints from people about animals that are out and around because it's being taken care of. And I think it's going to cost us a little bit in the short term to get something going. But if we really want to solve it, we got to solve it. We can't go back to the old ways.
Alderman Olson.
Thank you. I do want to acknowledge that in the last couple of months, the animals in Minot have had wonderful care. The organizations that stepped up have provided incredible care, and I'm grateful for that. I also know that with all of the debate that we've had up here since the beginning of the year, we have created an undue workload for our staff at the police department, and I apologize for that. They have other things to do, but we, throughout our debate, have created these situations. As a tally, no, I haven't had any complaints either about the care. But when people started finding out what the cost of the pound is and can be, I've heard complaints. They don't see the need to pay $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 more than what we had been paying. And certainly, not just recently, but over the last 5, 6, 7 years when we've been understaffed at the police department, we have all heard that we want a police department fully staffed.
Alderman Pittner.
I just want to take a moment, thank you, Mr. Mayor, to qualify my statements by saying I also have a dog and I like dogs. But again, this was sold to us as a cost savings. Mike, you sat here, you sat next to me in the spot, and you said, it's nice to see this is going to save us money. And again, I just haven't seen that. And again, there's some ideas out there that it could save us money. But when we talk about the budget that we're in, and we're not able to do maintenance on vehicles, we're talking about things like that. I just can't get on board with $300,000 over what we were paying. It just, again, that math is still not mathing for me. And we talk about it being short term. We don't know that. I mean, those that, to me, that's wishful thinking. And again, I'll end it with that. I'm going to support the motion. And again, I think we can give this to the next council. Give the option of going down to of maintaining what we have, but then also give the option of going to emergency services. As well as bringing this in-house with staff members. Like Chief had said, we're learning how to do this. We're learning what it takes, whether it be to operate the facility, to maintain the facility, to make sure drains are clear and things like that. That's institutional knowledge that, and again, my opinion, we're headed towards a city-owned pound. That's just where we're headed. When you go down this road and we're spending $3,500 a month renting the place, I won't be surprised to see a $1 million budget amendment for a pound building. I'll say that and let that be a bold prediction for when I'm off council.
Further discussion. Yeah, city clerk's going to reread or restate the motion.
So the motion out on the floor is to direct staff to rebid for pound services and include an option for emergency-only services, along with directing staff to bring numbers on bringing this in-house utilizing city staff.
Okay, everybody clear on the motion? No further discussion. Let's go ahead and vote.
The motion failed 3-4 with dissent from Blessum, Fuller, Hayes, and Samuelson.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Blessing.
So I'll make a motion to accept the staff proposal, but with the following adjustments. So accepted will be the Hairball Haven and Animal Empowerment League contracts. Accepted will be it says 3,000 in our memo, I think it's 34 or something in the actual numbers for the contract with Trinity Health, but explicitly to not move forward with the building aspects of the proposal.
Second.
Second by Alderman Fuller. Discussion of the motion.
Clarifying question? Okay, so I have accept the staff proposal with the following adjustment, accepting AEL and Hairball Haven contracts, and accept the contract for Trinity Space, but we were not doing something?
So it's really just those two bullets that are the
Oh,
affirmative
okay.
motion. So I think we're fine there because the remainder were related to a city-owned building.
Okay.
Any discussion on the motion? Alderman Fuller.
Just real quick, I guess, since we're doing this, do we want to have staff bring us some kind of voluntary licensing program to see if it's something we want to approve or not with this whole thing at this time to try and offset some of the cost, since we're worried about it?
So, Mr. Mayor, I think it's important that we move forward with this, but I think immediately following this, I'd like you to give us an opportunity to look at a motion like that.
And just a thought from my side of the table over here. I'm not so sure it should be voluntary.
That would change the numbers drastically.
Further discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Time to vote. Cast your votes.
The motion passed 5-2 with dissent from Olson and Pittner.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Blessam.
Okay, if I could, then I'll bring a motion to direct staff to develop a licensing and fee structure that will move us toward solvency in the pound program.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Alderman Olson.
Thank you. My question would be to either Alderman Blessam or Alderman Fuller. How is this different than what we have right now?
I guess my question would be, do we have a licensing program in the city of Minot? What's it tied to?
Well, I think we should call the chief up. I believe we do. I think it has been run through vet offices in the past, but I'd like a clarification.
Next time I'm propping the chair up here. We do have somewhat of a licensing program, but it's not completely, it could use work. And so let's just go ahead. I agree let's go ahead and make that more sustainable and look at, look at what that will take. So do I have all those answers right now? No. I'm not going to stand up here and say I do. We will start looking at it and start to see the viability of it.
Chief, one other question as long as you're here.
Yes, sir.
What about chipping? What's the story on that? Do we require that? Do we encourage it? If we're seeing these animals in a pound setting?
When they come in, we try to do those things. They get chipped and stuff like that.
Do get chipped, or it's a question, or is it voluntary? What is the story?
I'm going to ask this. Are we chipping all of them? I thought so, but I didn't want to say the wrong thing. Okay. Yes, so it's voluntary. But moving forward, again, these are things that we can work through. These are fees that we can put in place to make sure that we're able to start to identify these animals.
I mean, one of the reasons that I ask that is that I'm a little less than confident in the voluntary licensing being able to cover what we really need to cover. Even if, based on the percentages that Alderman Fuller quoted, we're at $150 or $200,000. We're still a long ways from coming anywhere close to covering even half of the cost of this whole program.
Mr. Mayor, you are correct. And the places where I've previously worked in Minnesota and California, they were mandated. So.
City Attorney.
Just for purposes of discussion, Section 7-39 of our ordinances sets the fees for licenses that are required by the city. It's $5 for a dog or cat that's been spayed or neutered, and $15 for any other dog or cat. So that's a baseline for the license conversation. I don't know if that leads to any discussion over there's a tolerance level to increase, decrease. There's also authorization for someone who's not an employee of the city, and this generally falls to vets or probably our pound servicers as well right now, that they can increase that license fee by $1.50 to compensate them for issuing that license.
Do we have any data anywhere on how many licenses are in play at this point? How many we have sold, or Alderman Olson?
Well, I certainly don't have an answer to that question. I can just say anecdotally, it's been difficult to get a license for a dog. Because I don't think that you can go to the police department and do it. And so you have to call a vet clinic, and sometimes they're like, yeah, come on in. And otherwise they're like, gosh, we haven't done that for a while. So it's more difficult than it should be.
Alderman Fuller.
Thank you. Steph, just real quick, when was the last time those numbers were checked or changed? Because they're well below national averages.
Right.
I was going to say
I was
$5
just about to
isn't.
That's
a
like
big license.
1970.
Yeah. I can't say that I've seen this revisited since I've been here, so it's at least over a decade old.
So, I was just going to say, you are correct. That is something that, and I've heard those kind of things, but I have not directed staff to take the time to work through those issues. We've tried to work through some of the others. This is something that will get worked on. We'll put that out for them to start getting all the answers and to make sure that we're on the right path, and we'll bring that back.
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Alderman Blessing.
Yeah, and along those lines, I think it's important that we do, our PIO office does a wonderful job on a lot of different things that we do. And we may need to change the conversation completely in the city of Minot around animals.
They don't want to change the what?
Change the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
We need people to understand that this is how this works. Now, the one thing I'll say just for the record right now, I am, as many know, I'm not a fan of mandates in just about any way, shape, or form, but I am okay with consequences. Okay, we may have a $25 license that is voluntary, and yeah, you probably should do it. But if you don't, and your animal's picked up, it may be $500 to get that animal back. And so I would rather handle it through consequences. I want people to be free to license or not license, but there's a consequence if you don't choose the path of least resistance. And so I think there's ways to get at what we're trying to accomplish here. And I think this motion right now, Chief, gives you and your team the ability to bring us a program or a framework for a program that I think we can probably get behind and make work.
Yeah, it'll take us, I'm not going to overpromise. It may take us a few weeks to start figuring everything out because the staff is going to have to take time to research, but it sounds like we're also going to have to write some sort of ordinance change.
Further questions for the chief? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Further discussion on the motion, which is Alderman Blessum's motion, I believe. Do you want to restate this latest motion, City Clerk, please?
I have direct staff to develop a licensing and fee structure for the pound program.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, let's vote on the motion on the floor.
The motion passed unanimously.
Okay, anything further on item 6.3? Seeing nothing, we'll move on. Item 6.4 is a construction contract for taxiway B realignment and reconstruction and runway rehabilitation at the airport. What are your wishes?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Blessum, second by Alderman Pittner. Discussion of the item. Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
Item 6.5 is a HVAC design and bid contract for the airport general aviation terminal. What are your wishes?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Pittner, second by Alderman Fuller. Discussion of the motion. Seeing none, let's place our votes.
The motion passed unanimously.
That takes us to item 6.6. This is a budget amendment due to a donation by the Friends of the Library. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Pittner, second by Alderman Fuller. Discussion. Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
And let me just say thank you to the Friends of the Library for continuing to support our library and come up with things that they do to find funds to support the library. So we appreciate that very much. Item 6.7, this is a request by the Minot, I think it's supposed to be Minot Housing Authority, for a facade improvement program forgivable loan of $139,000 for improvements to 108 Burdick Expressway East. It's recommended for approval. What are your wishes,
Move
council?
approval.
Moved by Alderman Pittner.
Second.
Alderman Olson.
Mr. Mayor, point of order. So is it just, in your take on this, is this not a reconsideration simply because it's a different dollar amount? The prevailing side did not ask for this to be put on the agenda.
My understanding is this is a new, excuse me, Mayor Janser,
City
Alderman
Attorney.
Blessam, that this is a new application that's been made for the fund, so it's a new application that's being considered. I'd have to yield to Director Billingsley to advise as to like what the nuances are with the difference of the application, but to me, it doesn't appear to be the exact same application that's being submitted for the council. So I think it would fall as being a new application for its consideration.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, again, my point of order requires you to rule. So we need to hear from Brian on what makes this proposal different from the one that was already taken action on by the council.
Certainly. Good evening, Mayor Janser, members of the council. This is a new application. The applicant did pay another application fee, and I required them to send this out to a bid again, since the other bid was old and it had expired. Everything else about this application is the same. It's the same design plans, the same proposal. Again, they just paid another $500 fee, and they rebid the project. I stand available for questions.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Fuller.
So there's no differences between the last application and this application, other than that it was rebid and they paid a new fee?
Correct.
Oh,
So-
City Attorney,
So
sorry.
Mayor Janser, I'm just gonna, the point of order ordinance, I don't believe is available online yet. I don't know that the update has gone through Muni code. So I'll just read like what the next steps are in regards to the point of order when it's raised. So the presiding officer yourself can permit a brief explanation raising the point of order before ruling on the claim. You're not required to decide it directly presented, not presented in the proceedings of the body. It doesn't require a second. It's not debatable nor amendable, and the presiding officer's ruling cannot be reconsidered. When the presiding officer's made a ruling, any two members can appeal that ruling to the governing body, the one making the appeal and the other seconding it. If an appeal is made, it must be made at the time of the chair's ruling. If any debate or business is intervened, it's too late to appeal. If the point is submitted to a vote by the governing body, then the vote of the governing body will stand.
Okay. So the next order of business is to rule on this point of order?
Yes.
Okay.
So the point of order, I believe, if you want to restate it, Alderman Blessam, just so I'm not restating anything.
Just to, my point of order is that this is reconsidering our action on this item from before.
So I guess in light of the fact that the applicant rebid the project and paid a second fee separately to appeal to us, I'm going to say that we are going to proceed and hear the appeal or hear the motion. So we are at a point where So did, City Clerk, did we get a motion on this yet, or?
Yes, to
we did?
approve.
Okay, so we got a motion and
Bittner
a second?
Olson, yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there anybody here to speak to this item? Seeing no one, is there any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Come on forward.
Hey, Mayor Jansen and members of the council, I'm Tom Alexander, Executive Director of the Minot Housing Authority. I can answer any questions that you may have, if there is any.
Any questions from the council for the applicant? Alderman Fuller.
I guess, per our last conversation when we did this before, we'd said to you guys, just bring it to us a different way rather than through the facade program, and we'll fix it and handle it for you. Why didn't you do that?
I did. If you look back, Mayor Jansen and Alderman Fuller, I had two options when we left here. One was to reapply. I was told by the council that I could reapply under a new application. And the second one was to come to the council during the original budgeting process later this summer. And so the first option was to reapply. So that's what I did.
Mayor, if I could.
Alderman Blessem.
Unfortunately, what was being referred to at that time was the community contributions, which were applications that were made and were presented, I believe, at the last meeting or the one before, for sure. So unfortunately, we may have missed that. Tom, I don't know if those are still open, if that's still a pathway at this point.
Mayor Janser, Alderman Blessem, I believe that has closed. Can anybody correct me on the community contributions? Did we set a deadline?
The application is no longer available on the website. I would defer to Dave, because I believe it's a deadline so that we can get our budget kind of set up and ready for the city manager presentation as to whether or not he would open it again. Or if Tom wants.
And then again with that, Mayor Janser, Alderman Blessem, members of council, I would recommend if you believe and it's possible to open it again, that we would set a date and we would open that back up on the website, so that'd be open for all of those who may like to apply for a community contribution.
Well, if I could, Mr. Mayor, it may be moot. You know, we'll have a vote here in a few moments, and we'll determine whether that needs to happen. But that was the path. That was at least intended by what I was talking about.
Further discussion? Thank you, sir. Alderman Blessem.
So I'll keep this brief. I'll vote no again. I think that it does not fit the program. It uses federal funds as the contributing factors from their side. And again, it's not that I dislike the building, dislike the program, anything about it. I think that there's a better way to go about this, and it's not the facade program.
Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Samuelson.
Thank you. I'm going to agree with Alderman Blessem. And I also, I don't, in everything that I looked at, I don't think this fits in the facade program. So I won't rehash, what we talked about before. And I do believe this is a reconsideration. And I don't think it should be done. So I'm going to vote no.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, let's cast our votes on this item.
The motion passed 4-3 with dissent from Blessem, Fuller, and Samuelson.
The next item, 6.8, is an airport easement and reimbursable agreement with Enbridge. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Fuller, second by Alderman Pittner. And any discussion on this item? Seeing none, let's cast our votes.
The motion passed unanimously.
Item 6.9 is a recommendation to pass the ordinance on second reading related to the Park District sales tax. Is there a motion?
Approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve. This was what was voted on last Tuesday, and so we are confirming the will of the electorate in this. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion passed 6-1 with dissent from Alderman Samuelson.
Our next section, Section 7, is personal appearances. In order to speak, a speaker's card is required. And if you'd like to provide public comment, you need to put your name, your address, and the address will be held in confidence. And also the topic that you wish to speak about needs to be on the card. And the city clerk is collecting those, and if, okay. Okay. So if you have missing information, it disqualifies you from speaking. Each individual will be allotted 5 minutes to make comments. The individual will be notified when their 5 minutes have expired, and the 5-minute time limit may be extended by a majority vote of the city council. Comments must address the topic identified on the speaker card, must be pertinent to the city of Minot and fall under the authority of the city council, and must be directed to the council as a whole. Comments may not be defamatory, abusive, harassing, or unlawful, may not include information that is exempt or confidential under North Dakota open records law, and may not interfere with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Individuals will not have access to the city's audio-visual technology unless by prearrangement, and individuals may not yield their allotted time to anybody else. And we have speaker tonight, Billy Gunderson, and she's speaking on ADA requirement, public safety.
Mayor Janser, council members. At the June 1st, 2026 City Council meeting, I addressed the lack of public safety in being removed by Officer Bartlett and the Superintendent Trent of Park Construction at the Sears River Joint Board construction site in a residential avenue on Central Avenue. At Central Avenue and First Street Southeast, downtown, there was a lift with no spotter for the lift turning the corner at a public intersection going into Citizens Alley owned by Ryan Ackerman, construction by Height Construction. The operator was wearing no harness. A lack of safety and ADA requirements on his properties are facilitated in the same way for the Sears River Joint Board on the construction site and addressed for MI6 with Park Construction and MI7 with Wagner Construction. Public safety looks good on paper and sounds good, but it's not a priority in the city of Minot or for the Sears River Joint Board. Public interest in fiscal responsibility, public safety as paramount was addressed by Tom Joyce. It is economic development that is paramount, sacrificing public safety and civil rights for profit, progress, production, and privacy. I asked Alderman Fuller if he had ever heard the expression, Your actions speak so loud I cannot hear what you're saying. It is the actions that I continue to repeat, that the declaration he made when he said, "Sue us," after addressing removing a piece of sidewalk for a development project, why I continue to address it. He stated that he just wanted to get something up. It is that attitude of just getting something up that creates segregation, lack of safety for everyone, and civil rights being violated by police force and contractors, or pedestrians being cited for getting struck by a vehicle. Ron LeCount, my friend, whom I strolled with, who passed away, would often say, piss-poor planning creates piss-poor results. It is this that I address here. He would speak of prudence. It is not what I address here. In the shared room of Ackerman Esfold with the Service River Joint Board, the Attorney General cited non-compliance after addressing an open records violation. The same open records I requested April 23, 2026, I still do not have in my possession, and a payroll keeping me from receiving additional documents with no statute stating why. This is the same lack of integrity that I have experienced with the City of Minot requesting police records of the same incident surrounding April 23, 2026, with Officer Bartlett and Officer Washington. Since both the City of Minot and the Service River Joint Board are violating state open records laws and federal ADA requirements set by the very sources they've received funding from, is the city attorney, Shane Gettle, who is paid by both entities strictly to lobby the legislature to chase more federal dollars, also tasked to be the council addressing this lack of civil rights compliance before the legislator while pursuing those new funds. Is it the intention of this council to continue to protect the city employees that it employs or the community that it serves? I ask that you choose the community. It is the disservice of the community that you ask that their voice to speak in this chambers, not only at city council meetings, to not provide use of the AV cable at the podium that does not meet ADA requirements to show photos to best illustrate what they are communicating. I will not be able to present in that way today, having submitted photos after 2 p.m. required by Jennifer Clean. The AV cable is easier to control than the voice of one to present in this chambers. This is censorship. I have a few more comments. May I have 30 seconds, please?
So moved. All those in favor? Aye. 30
One
seconds.
last comment. It was a comfort to find an email from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission granting a right to sue for Gunderson versus Roosevelt Park. It is a disappointment to see an increase in taxes for Minot Parks that does not take care of what it has. Minot Parks did not take care of what it had to take care of more, to ask for more from the community for progress, production, profit, and privacy, while violating civil rights, stating they are inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, we have no other speaker cards, so that will conclude the personal appearances for this evening. Next up is miscellaneous and discussion items. And one of the things we're going to do tonight is, since 3 of our aldermen are going to be leaving after the election. We're going to give them a minute or two or whatever they need to sort of make some parting comments. Before we do that, though, I would just like to say this election has been one where the public had a choice of candidates, and we're going to have 3 new aldermen, and I look forward to working with the 3 new individuals and to working with them and the rest of the city council to move forward on the budget process and the other business that we have in front of us. I think that we had a good campaign for the various seats. There was good interest. There were races both for the mayor's place as well as 7 people running for 3 seats on the city council. And so I thank the public for that. I thank the candidates for that. I think everybody got a chance to vet the folks and vote, and we are moving forward with those results. And so I thank you very much for that. And so now we'll go ahead and start with Alderman. I'm going to start with Alderman Hayes over this way.
Okay, I'm not much of a speaker, but I'd like to thank the city council for the opportunity to serve the city of Minot the last 9 months, and I'd like to thank all the staff for the hard work you've done. City Manager Joyce, City Attorney Stephanie, and Michaela, you guys are phenomenal, along with all the employees that I've ran across, dealt with. They've been phenomenal. And then ending that, I'd like to say congratulations to the new and incoming council members. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Pittner.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was kind of like Alderman Hayes. I was thinking, you start to think about this. I've witnessed it a couple times now, having been on council, seeing and gone through the election process, seeing kind of the individuals going out, and I thought, maybe I'll keep it short and sweet. Maybe I'll burn some bridges. Maybe I'll, who knows, right? Then as your brain starts to turn, you start to think, and again, it gives you kind of a time to reflect. And when you're at the end of these journeys, whether it be a book or a movie or a job, you reflect. It just reminds me of being a kid and maybe making some, questionable choices. Dad would always say, well, what'd you learn? And I find myself asking that to my kids now too. Charlotte, if she's watching this or watches it, she'll probably hate me for telling the story. She backed into the shed door at the lake and she was crying. She was fearful to tell me. I said, it's not a big deal. I said, but what did you learn? Well, I got to make sure the garage door's up all the way, before I back out. Again, and I told her, reminder, mistakes are worth making if there's a lesson. There's going to be mistakes in life, but it's important to learn a lesson and convey those. So with that being said, I kind of reflect, what would I tell someone coming into this position? What would I tell myself? If I could have a conversation with a 29-year-old Paul Pittner back in 2018, who's about to go on this journey of public service, first and foremost, buckle up, because it's going to be less than civil at times. It can be contentious. It can be filled with conflict. But with that being said, don't give up. Don't give in to the outside pressures. Stay true to what you believe is right, while also remaining willing to learn and grow from the people around you. Remember, you were voted in by the citizens of Minot for who you are and what message you have conveyed. I've consistently believed and communicated during my time up here that growth and progress happens through controlled conflict. But again, that disclaimer, right? Sometimes it's not always controlled. I'd also tell them to prepare for anything. And some of the individuals up here can live through this with me. But who would have thought that just 2 years into my first term, we'd be dealing with a global pandemic, and that our community would at one point have the highest infection rate in the country? How do you prepare to weigh public health, mask mandates, personal liberties while serving as a council member in Minot? And I'm just a small business owner. How do you prepare for citizens looking to you to enact policies that they believe will protect them? The answer is you don't. You can't. You do the best with the information that you have at the time, and you make the decision that you believe is right. Another lesson. Time marches on, so enjoy the ride. During my time on council, we've moved homes, welcomed 2 more children into our family. In late 2022, 6 months into my dad's retirement, he was diagnosed with cancer, and a short 6 months later, on June 6, 2023, he lost that battle. You don't get to take a break. I've read this so many times, I've never gotten emotional about it. You never get to check out of this job. You simply keep moving on. Life continues. With that being said, life has a way of reminding you of those things, that in the grand scheme of all these things, many of these issues that we debate up here are pretty insignificant. And at the end of the day, we're all just human beings trying to do our best. The next point, which is unfortunate that it needs to be said, but be prepared for an endless amount of negativity. It can be exhausting trying to remain positive and optimistic when the pissing and moaning from keyboard warriors is so loud. And just in case you were wondering, Alderman Samuelson, I still don't care what they have to say. It's unfortunate some people they're so determined to view our community through such a negative lens instead of recognizing the wins and positive direction of our community. They choose to focus on complaining, rumors, and things that just aren't even true. And to those people, I would simply say, grow up. Put down your devices, stop believing everything you read on Facebook. Go outside and talk to your neighbors and fellow community members and look around. The positive things are everywhere. For most people, being happy is a choice. And I remind this to my children. I tell them, there will always be things outside of your control, times where you don't get what you want, where things do not go your way, but there are 2 things in life that you can control, your attitude and your effort. I've also learned that organizations are stronger when standards are upheld. I've learned when we fail to address behavior that falls short on those standards, we do a disservice to our entire organization and our entire team. So I would encourage my younger self, don't back down and stand up for what you believe is right. There will be times when people in positions of authority will try to attempt to manipulate a situation, control a narrative, or steer outcomes for their own benefit. In those moments, you have a duty. You were raised better than that. You have a duty to make sure people are presented with the truth and people are held accountable. I would remind my younger self that it doesn't matter whether you're a city manager, a chief of police, or running for mayor. If you play stupid games, you better be damn well to win some stupid prizes. Finally, I tell him that he's going to meet and work alongside some truly great people. The city of Minot is a well-run organization because of the people who work here every day, from our city staff, our department heads, all of the employees across the organization. They are countless individuals who genuinely care about this community and want Minot to be the best version of itself. Serving alongside these people has been one of the greatest privileges of my life the last 8 years. And when it's all said and done, that's probably the biggest lesson of all. Minot doesn't move forward because of any one individual sitting up here. Minot moves forward because people show up, they work together every day and do the work, and they care enough to make a difference. Now, while reflecting and writing this in a bunch of different sessions, I debated whether or not I should have started with this portion, but here we are. So to my wife, Heidi, it's not possible. It's not possible to put in the words of love I have for you. You have shouldered the load when I've been here in this seat. You have been my confidant. You have been my sounding board, my editor-in-chief, among so many other things. You are the real MVP. Somehow, I've gotten more wrinkles and gray hair in the last 8 years, and you're just more of a babe. I love you. They're going to make fun of me. To my children, the true reason I'm up here, to make Minot better. Charlotte, you have been my ride or die, the best campaign manager, the biggest cheerleader. You once told me that you would be with me every step of the way. And you've been a woman of your word. I love you and I am proud of you. Hollywood, the guy who is always as cool as the other side of the pillow. No bells and whistles with you. You just lead by example of being a good dude. You're never too high or too low. You've reminded me time and time again that in the time that I have worn this hat to be present and just enjoy being here. I love you and I am proud of you. Clementine, Clemmy, my little orange peel, my Sour Patch Kid, the freest spirit of our family. You have some of the best hugs, and God knows I need them. And I've needed them a lot over the last 8 years. You have the best, most flawless style. You have the biggest heart, and you are only 6. You were never concerned with what this job entailed, but only concerned that I would be home in time to say goodnight. You embody tenacity and determination. I'm not sure if I'm excited or terrified of what the future holds for us, But I know that if I ever need backup in a fight, you are my first call because your colors do not bleed. I love you and I am proud of you. Jonesy, Mom's favorite. I thought this job would give me a lot of gray hairs, and then you showed up. Let it be known that we avoided the ER with our first 3 children, and then Jones showed up, and we were on first name basis with Trinity's ER staff. But that alone embodies your personality and how you live life. You live life fearlessly, boldly, and face first, leaving it all out there. I love you, and I am proud of you. With all of that, I just want to wrap up by wishing nothing but the best of luck to this council and to the future council. Giddy up.
Thank you, Alderman Pittner. Alderman Olson, sort of without intending or without thought, we've kind of progressed from the person who has most recently joined the council next and now to Alderman Olson, who has been here the longest of the departing council members. So the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to reflect on my time as a member of Minot City Council. The challenge is trying to encapsulate 16 years of service into 7 minutes or less. From the beginning of these remarks to the end, I hope one thing is clear. Serving this community has been one of the greatest honors of my life. I've had the privilege of being the longest serving woman on the council and one of only 10 women in Minot's history to hold this position. Beginning on July 6th, our community will once again be without a woman's perspective on this dais. Gender, of course, is not the sole measure of an elected official. I know from the comments I have received over the years that my willingness to listen, remain open-minded, think sensibly, and advocate for others are the reasons I was entrusted with this office time and time again. It has been my privilege to serve as both council president and council vice president. I was elected in 2010 as a write-in candidate representing Ward 7. I remain grateful for that first year because it allowed me to grow into the responsibilities of serving on the city council. The 15 years that followed brought tremendous change to Minot and to my role as an alderwoman. Some people believe we only attend 2 meetings each month. They are often unaware of the numerous boards and committees on which council members serve as liaisons. These additional assignments have been among my most rewarding experiences because they have allowed me to interact with people on a more personal level, learn about the work being accomplished throughout our community, and witness firsthand how collaboration transforms a city into a community. The complete list is too long to share tonight, but a few highlights stand out. As chair of the Ward County Planning Commission, we successfully limited access to gentlemen's clubs in many areas of the county after hearing concerns from local families. As chair of the Airport Committee, we welcomed the opening of a new airport terminal. As chair of the Community Facilities Committee, we honored the will of the voters by making grants available to community partners. Those investments helped many organizations rebuild after the 2011 flood and continue to benefit residents and visitors today. We enjoy destinations such as the Magic City Discovery Center, Roosevelt Park Zoo, Minot State University, and the many ball fields throughout our community. But perhaps more importantly, these same dollars are helping secure vital flood protection for all of Minot. As chair of the Career and Technical Education Site Committee, we worked tirelessly to ensure that students in Minot would have opportunities to pursue careers of their choosing. Partners including Dakota College at Bottineau, the Minot State University Foundation, Trinity Health, and the state of North Dakota came together to open those doors in 2024. Serving 7 years on the Minot Public Library Board gave me a deep appreciation for the extraordinary services the library provides. Through books, technology, and programs, it offers opportunities that many residents might not otherwise enjoy. During my tenure, the board was honored with the North Dakota Library Association's Library Champion Award. I am grateful that I will have the opportunity to serve on this board again as a resident of Minot. More recently, I served on the City Hall Building Committee, and it is easy to see that this new facility is an incredible addition to downtown. In recent weeks, I have concluded my service on the Community on Child Care in Minot, the Liaison Committee, the Central Dakota MPO, and the Service Basin Planning Council. While advocacy was not the sole mission in these groups, I hope my voice helped advance the interests of women, children, and individuals whose stories needed to be heard. While countless hours have been devoted to these committees, I was elected to serve on Minot City Council. By rough estimate, I have cast votes on more than 10,000 agenda items. Many were routine, but each one affected the lives of Minot residents. Annual budgets rank among the most important decisions we make, but so do issues involving flood protection, employee needs, public health and safety, and the overall quality of life in our community. Coming from a public service household, I understand the dedication our city employees bring to their work. I have tried to be an advocate for them, recognizing that they not only provide essential municipal services, but are also taxpayers and neighbors. I can say with confidence that Minot is in very good hands with our city staff. Thus far, I have shared my memories and perspectives, but none of that occurred in a vacuum. There's always been a team, a group of people working together toward common goals. I like to think that the choir of voices singing in harmony creates the greatest impact. Yet harmony does not require everyone to sing the same note. Different ideas and viewpoints ensure that residents hear their perspectives represented. There are many people who have made this journey meaningful and enjoyable. Former Mayor Chuck Barney and the late Alderman Dean Francois offered mentorship when I was first elected. They answered questions, often before I asked them, and encouraged me to embrace my role as a leader. Many of my colleagues, including Scott Knutsvig, Rick Hedberg, Paul Pittner, Scott Burlingame, Stephen Padragula, and Sean Sitma, demonstrated what it means to serve with integrity and compassion. Two colleagues became very dear friends. Former Alderwoman and current County Commissioner Miranda Schuler has shown an extraordinary ability to lead, mentor, encourage, and represent the people of the Minot area. Mayor Mark Janser and I have served together for 16 years. During that time, I've watched him lead with common sense, remain present through every challenge, and maintain important relationships with our neighbors to the north. Together, we have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. As Dorothy said to the Tin Man before leaving Oz, I think I will miss you most of all. Finally, my deepest gratitude belongs to my family. They sacrificed time with their wife, mother, and grandmother. They scheduled family events around countless meetings. They worried when inconsiderate comments and falsehoods appeared on social media. They are my true north, my support system, and my greatest joy. Thank you, dear family. In a few days, I will step away from this role and take time to reflect on my priorities. I will assume an even more important title, Resident of Minot. I will continue watching council meetings from home, advocating for what I believe is best for our community, and holding all of you accountable for making good decisions. I pray God's discernment and wisdom for each of you and for his continued blessings upon our great city. Thank you.
Thank you, all three of you. Let's give these people a round of applause. Thank you very much. Best of luck in your new endeavors, or whatever leisure or whatever you decide to do without the office of city council member. Item 9 is liaison reports. I guess we'll go back over to Alderman Hayes and start with you.
Okay, May 21st, I did the Meals on Wheels, which is a phenomenal program. It serves multi-purposes. Not only do the seniors get food, but it's an opportunity to check on them as well, that they're doing okay, that there's no harm in that. Just an example, my brother-in-law had done it Wednesday, and he come across a person that had fallen and had been down in their bathroom for 2 days. So, it serves dual purpose. Also had the pleasure of doing a ride-along with the Police Department with Officer Burkhart, who did a phenomenal, people don't realize that they're not just police officers. They think of tickets and crime and all that. They're a lot more than that. They do, counseling, just every, you just have to experience it to see what they do. But again, an excellent experience.
Alderman Fuller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been to multiple library budget meetings, multiple library merger meetings. I met with Jackie and some of her staff at Broadway Circle, the folks that are running Broadway Circle for us. Alderman Blessum and myself sat down with them and some of the city staff. And then I have Ward County Planning Commission on Thursday. I have a regular library board meeting Thursday. I have a library merger meeting tomorrow. And I'm meeting with the local firefighters union Friday morning. So,
Alderman Samuelson.
Thank you. June 9th, we did interviews for actuary for our retirement plan. And then coming up on Thursday, I'll have Ward County Planning Commission.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Renaissance Zone meeting on June 25th. It's planned to review the residential blocks attached to the Grand Hotel and other properties along North Broadway. Again, in an effort to best utilize those blocks, make sure that they're, if they're set up, that people are using them, and if they're not, we're going to move them. So for Visit Minot, June's a big month for tournaments. July State Fair, August Airstream Rally. We've been working, and staff over at Visit Minot's been working their butts off to get that. They're renting out the entire state fairgrounds. It's going to be a lot of Airstreams, and don't call them campers. They're Airstreams. They're going to come in. They're going to kind of take over a little bit of a community takeover. A bunch of other events mixed in between. Kicking off our Workforce Initiative grant for tourism-related businesses, retail, restaurants, attractions, events, and hotels. That grant is funded through North Dakota Department of Commerce, and also funded by Visit Minot. So a lot of good things going on.
Thank you. Alderman Blessum.
Next week will be 911 Committee as well as Commission on Aging. And I think we're going to be due for an ALPR committee meeting here before too long. I know that implementation's going on right now. Training is wrapping up, so we'll have that coming soon.
Thank you. Alderman Olson.
May 20th, the Library Merger Committee met, as Alderman Fuller mentioned, and we meet again tomorrow afternoon. May 26th, Thirst Basin Planning Council Loan Review Committee. The 27th, I was here along with many of you for the promotion ceremony for Captain Wagner and the retirement ceremony for Captain Sunbakken. And then that afternoon, we heard such interesting information about the 2011 flood. And I know that many of us lived through that, and we think that we have information. But if you have an hour, certainly go back and listen to Ryan Ackerman's presentation. It's very eye-opening, very informational. May 28th, attended Central Dakota MPO Executive Board meeting, and the 9th participated in Service Basin Planning Council Executive Board meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Alderman Olson. That concludes liaison reports. We're on to item number 10. So moved. Move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Blessum. All those in favor of adjourning say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Meeting is adjourned.